a society, especially with men, it's always like ingrained, even with my male clients, it's like this ingrained belief that you guys are not supposed to show your feelings. But the thing is the more we can show our feelings and be connected with that, the more we're opening our heart and receiving all that we desire. So the fact that you have this question, I just want to honor you for that, because that shows a lot of where you are in regards to self-awareness and going internally within, because that's what we want to do. So with your mother having bipolar disorder, personally, bipolar disorder, I can only imagine how up and down it may feel at times. And the grieving process, I feel, is so necessary when it comes to almost grieving the parent that you always wish you had, but never actually was able to receive. And one of the best ways, especially if we feel not in tune with our emotions, and I would love to hear what Yat says, but one of the biggest things I advise is a lot of times we try and analytically think our emotions, especially men, from what I've realized, but also anyone who is suppressed of their emotions. We may be like, well, I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm this isn't. So what I would advise you to do is start going internally within the body if you feel safe to do so, and really get clear of like, where do I feel this sensation? Where do I feel this sadness? When I do talk to my mom and I do feel this disconnection, where do I feel it? Do I feel it in my heart? What is it telling me? Getting to know it. How does it want to be released? The more you start inviting the mind-body connection, the more you're going to be in tune with your feelings and the more you're going to be able to feel them. Because right now, what we want to do is basically emotions, I say, is energy in motion. And we can start moving that energy through us, those feelings, and start feeling those feelings, whether it's anger, rage, whatever it is, doing it in a somatic way. Maybe it's punching a pillow, maybe it's yelling in a pillow, and just letting yourself know that that is okay if that's the way you feel like you need to release that grieving process of your mother. It's really asking that little boy within you, what does he still feel is not or has not been addressed? What does he feel like he's still looking for? Where he feels like there's something in the middle of that. Where did that belief come from? And what is that little boy not getting?
We actually talked about grief. We did a whole month on grief. This was maybe many months ago, maybe a year plus ago, I think. And the interesting thing of grieving is that when we grieve, we're not actually grieving the loss of a person so much as what that person made or meant to us and how we perceived, attached, or desired something from that person. That's the actual human, like the human construct of grieving, which we don't understand because as human beings, we attach to the physical. So we think the physical person's either fully here, fully not here, emotionally, physically, etc. But the key thing about it is, like you said, going through the journey of grieving, whether it's grieving a relationship, grieving the loss of a child who we may have had, grieving the loss of a parent, grieving the loss of a job offer that we wanted but we didn't get. When we allow ourselves to grow, like you said, through the process of that grieving, we're allowing ourselves to recognize that, fuck, this meant a lot to me, or I really wanted this, or I needed more from this, and it couldn't be there for me. And that's a huge part, which a lot of the times, like you may have said or thought in therapy, we try to invalidate, where everybody's just like, pick your head up, just jump on forward, just move it. I think that also happens because of the fear of victimization. So a lot of therapy that exists out there is almost like a shadow work response. This may sound really deep to you guys, so like, forgive me if it is, but it sounds like it's just a projection of people being afraid to deal with a lot of the heavy feelings that they have. So naturally, the first thing that they're doing is like, pick up and move, build your confidence, like go up and do that, because people are afraid of sitting with the painful feelings. Now, the reason people are afraid of sitting with those painful feelings more often than not is because for a lot of us, it can take us down a fucking rabbit hole that can get really painful, really ugly, and really hard. And in that process, a lot of us bypass it. But when you bypass it, you don't actually heal it. And so it keeps coming up over and over again in different ways, including, as we talked about here, in our relationships. So when we do reparenting, which is why reparenting is such a strong word here, we're consciously focusing on the fact that we wanted something from this parent, from this mother, from this friend, from this job, from this human being, but that they could not give it to us. Now, you can therefore, from there, fork into two directions, where one way you start hating them for it, and you're like, fuck them for not giving it to me. And honestly, that's also a part of grieving, which at the start, you have to deal with the resentment that comes out with not having had your needs met. But by processing that, you must allow it to go through and release it so that you can focus on to the next thing, which is like, okay, now, like, I'm not gonna lie, my girlfriend has this amazing strategy where she says when she has rejection, she has 1 hour where she's allowed to bitch, feel angry, shame, like do whatever she wants to herself. And then she says, after that 1 hour, if I don't get out of it, I want you to provide me a reminder to get out of the space. And at the start, it was really weird for me because I process very differently. But to see herself like shitting on it, crying or whatever, was her method of being like, okay, I've had my permission to feel. Now I need to empower myself out of it. For a lot of us who have a difficult time grieving, think about this. Have we had our time as children to be upset? Have we had our space as children to feel sad? Have we had our space as like when we were growing up to be angry about something that didn't work our way? Most of us have not, which is why we unconsciously invalidate this feeling so that now when we get to this moment of grieving, we're like, oh, same story, different day, same action. I'm just going to ignore myself and invalidate it. But then the pain eats at us. We look at a partner, and in the partner, we see a mom who couldn't really love us and show us, and that will show up for us, and that also destroys us. So the essence of what I'm trying to say here is it all comes back to what was our relationship with whatever we're grieving. And it doesn't even have to be the world's relationship. Your mom to you could have been, for everybody, it could have been your mom, but she could have been the most like abusive or the most attached or most whatever person it was, which means you wanted her to be safe. You wanted her to be loving. You wanted her to be someone you could count on, but you didn't get those things. That has to be grieved. That has to be understood. That has to be processed and let go of. And when that is, then steps in the next and the most powerful step of healing, which is empowerment. Okay, I've had my chance, given myself permission to understand what I didn't get, why it made me sad, why it hurt me, why I have to let go of it. And now I want to show myself that what's important to me now onwards. Is it to keep going back to my mom and try and convince her to be the mom that I needed to be? Not in your case, but in case of other people. Or is it more important for me to find and meet my needs so that I can feel fulfilled, I can feel more secure and more loved? And those two pieces need to go hand in hand for us to have the most like safe, secure, and beautiful relationships. And actually what Janelle was talking about is so true because the body stores emotions even if the mind thinks it can forget it. The nervous system naturally is designed to just process and hold on to trauma, which is why you may still be feeling uncomfortable that this grieving is not fully done. It's because something in your body keeps eating at you. Even though you may express yourself, and this is for all of you, even though you may express yourself, there's part of you that just feels really traumatized and difficult. So the concept of somebody brought up like rage rooms or places where you just like go and like, break shit or get angry, that's for nervous system release. And it's helpful temporarily, but what's more helpful on a semi-permanent or permanent basis is understanding what am I really releasing here? I'm not just releasing the feeling within my body, but I'm also releasing the attachment I have to the thing I've lost or to this thing that I wanted to be different or better or more beautiful, but that couldn't be. And that's the essence of really like combining the grief with that. Hey, and welcome to the Inner Yats YouTube page. If you like our content, make sure you click the like and the subscribe button so that you get more of these amazing videos that keep coming your way.